I tell you what, Nicholas, I've got some killer fucking heartburn. It is
Oh,
fucking killing me right there. All I can feel, driving me bananas.
damn. That sounds like
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. But I'll tell you what, we were bought out by Corn Cob TV. We are now under the Corn Cob TV umbrella, right? We're looking to get the PGA next. We'll see if that happens. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, Dork Shared Gooniverse and Geeks Worldwide Radio proudly presents to you the greatest podcasting team in the world. He's the caddy, Nick Friar, backcracker, fry guy, Nick Friar. I'm the backcracker, Dr. Joe. All this fucking heartburn's got me confused. We are the TLDR Comic Book Club podcast, baby. Nicholas, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just a reminder to everybody to stay tuned afterwards, after the show, for Metal Motto Search over on Corn Cob TV. And then after that, you get That's a Chunky. They've had all summer to figure out what their deal is, so they are in great shape.
That didn't look good. I was trying to do the driving crooner.
You were trying to do the driving crooner. It did not look like that at all. I was like, where's he going for here? Driving crooner. Okay, little did I know, folks. That's who I'm doing the show with.
It's the frat boys.
But I'll tell you what, as for the other shows on Corn Cob TV, you cannot find those on audio channels, but you can find ours. We have audio channels over on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Geeks Worldwide Radio, SoundCloud, Amazon. Make sure you go subscribe there, leave a 5-star rating and review. Only the best review that you can possibly leave. 5 stars is the case over on iTunes. Otherwise, you're going to learn the real meaning of Backcracker and the real reason you want to subscribe over there. Aside from helping the show out a ton, because it does help us out a lot, that's the only place you're going to find Friarside chats. And we have another one for you guys. We are on a heater right now. You know, sometimes these things just happen out of nowhere. We had the whole Massiverse run. We had 3 creators from the Massiverse on. It was unintentional that we had them all on at the same time. It just worked out that way. And now we got Daniel Kraus on the show, of course, the writer of Trojan, Year Zero, Volume 0. And our introduction to him was The Autumnal, which was a book that Joe talked about on the show. You've talked about all 3 of those books on here, but Daniel is more his background is in prose. And we actually heard about his new novel that's coming out in August, and I am so fucking in on that series. That book. Was it
Whalefall.
Whalefall. Thank you very much.
Give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yes, it sounds outstanding. But we talked a lot of Trojan, talked about his approach to writing comics versus prose. I had a great time. I can't wait to listen back to this thing.
Yeah, that was a tremendous interview and a tremendous chat, and he was great. And big shout out to the people at Newell over at AWA for helping set that up and allowing it, or not allowing us, but helping us get in touch with these creators so that we can have these great chats. And just to step back real quick, you talked about the 5-star reviews. Nicholas, we got a hell of a review from Epic Scale recently. 5 stars. Look at that. We're fucking, man. We're fucking, baby.
Yes, sir. We love each and every one. We
appreciate it. Yeah, we appreciate it. Means a lot. Helps us, helps us reach the masses, and that's all we want. We want to be able to spread our love of comic books, and hopefully, each and every week, introduce new books that you may have overlooked or may not have heard of that you might want to go out, get inspired to read and love as much as we do. So thank you.
We are trying to be, we didn't set out to do this, but we have worked to be the one-stop shop for all things comic books, because we get opinion out of Joe and I. You get stuff on things that are coming out weekly, things that are the trades, collected editions of trades. And then we're educating ourselves even further and trying to help educate you guys as well, hearing from some of the creators in the business. And we got Daniel Kraus, who's more of a novelist, but obviously does some impressive work with comics. And then we have people who are like titans of the industry. Of course, we've had Scott Snyder on a few times. We've had Joe's favorite, his Chip Zdarsky, not yet with James Tynion, but someday we will get him.
And the Mayor, my 2 white whales.
Yep, there you go. We've spanned quite a range of creators, so we're just trying to help all comic book fans get exactly what they want, exactly what they need at all times. And speaking of comic book fans and people that listen to the show, we did have someone reach out to us recently, Joe, and you were able to help them out. Nathan Bedard asked for a little help for his nephew to introduce him to comics or further his comic book reading. Asked about Star Wars Darth Vader by Charles Soule, the omnibus for that. Now, you had talked about Darth Vader stuff previously on the show, but I think you actually steered him in a different direction, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, essentially what I said was, it's fine that, if you allow him to watch Star Wars, especially the original trilogy and the new stuff, there's nothing that Marvel's going to let happen in that comic book that's going to be darker or more violent or really
Yeah.
violent, any more violent than movies have been in general. So I said, yeah, it's not bad, but for that age range 10, 11, 12, I also suggested check out the Star Wars High Republic Adventures from IDW or even Marvel. Marvel does
Well,
a
and now
Star Wars,
Dark Horse.
or Dark Horse, right?
Yeah.
So those are some really great books that I think, I don't want to say are more age appropriate, but you're going to probably get some stories that I think for that age, they're a little bit. So here's the thing. I don't want to talk down to, or like you have to like dumb down, because I'm constantly, having to remind myself that kids are a hell of a lot smarter than we give them credit for.
Sure.
And it's, treat them like, like adults, right? But like, I just think being a 10, 11, 12-year-old, you want something that's a little badass, right? Because you're getting that age, but
Mm-hmm.
also you want to be able to understand the shit that you're reading too, right? Or
Sure.
the stuff that you're reading too. Here we're
Yeah.
talking about giving
Look at
books to kids,
this.
and I'm swearing like a flipping pirate. But there's a whole lot. My greater point is there's a lot of Star Wars content out there that ranges from stuff that's definitely going to be far younger,
Mm-hmm.
than his age, stuff that's a little bit more age appropriate. But even the Charles Soule stuff, where I think maybe is geared for a little bit more of the older reader. But again, if you let him watch Star Wars, I was watching Star Wars at that age,
Mm-hmm.
so it's definitely something you can let him read.
A man of the people, and I appreciate you reaching out and helping him out. And of course, anybody else who has questions, Joe and I are not gonna, just say yes for the sake of yes, but we want to help you out as best as we can. So feel free to get us in our DMs, whether it's on Twitter or on Instagram. And one other thing that I wanted to know too, Joe. Obviously, we had the latest Spider-Verse Miles Morales movie come out recently, and there's one thing I want to talk to you about. This isn't spoilery, but this is a thing I might like. I'm not going to give you a chance to identify on yourself for yourself at first. It's not spoiler, I promise. But obviously, we've talked about friend of the show, Sheldon Buchert, a lot, who we became friendly with over on Instagram and have since had on the show and talked with him a lot. And obviously, we talked about his art style and how it's very specific. You guys have seen it in the covers that he's done. Obviously, we're excited to see what he's going to do with AWA coming up. But the one of the images that he's drawn over the years that has really stuck with me when I think of Sheldon's art, of course, I think of Radiant Black, I think of Blacktop Bill, but then there's that Spider Gwen image that I believe you have up in Bag End, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
When you see Spider-Verse, because I know you're going to see it, it was so freaking good, Joe. When you look at Spider Gwen's, like we spend some time in her universe, and that's like the first thing that you do. So again, not spoilery, but the art style that they have there, it reminded me so much of Sheldon's. It was friggin' insane. I really enjoyed what they were doing with Spider Gwen in general, but I was like so into her universe, kind of like this feels like it's fucking drawn by Sheldon.
You better get some royalties, baby.
I don't know if that's how it works.
He better see some of that Spider-Man money.
But I'll tell you what, if you guys like that universe, seriously, go check out Sheldon's Instagram page, Sheldon Buchert, and like I'm telling you, like that print is good. You're gonna get the same vibes from it. It's very similar. It's really cool. Like he knows how to create movement in still images, like in a way that we haven't really seen from many artists. It's very cool. So I loved it. So yeah, Spider-Man 29. He's something else. But enough about that. Let's get to the actual. Well, we got to get to catching up really quickly. Obviously, Joe, you were busy gallivanting over in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, winning golf tournaments, baby.
Nice, good stuff. I did catch up on things, but stuff that was related to our interviews. Caught up on Trojan. So good. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about in a trade at some point down the line because I'm revealing that I can't surprise you in any way. But Trojan was outstanding, and then Year Zero, Volume Zero, outstanding. Both of those, of course, are books written by Daniel for AWA. But Joe, let's get to what's new and let's talk some Marvel.
All right, it was a hell of a week for Marvel. We had Daredevil issue 12. Man, oh man, this was this was a heavy issue, and we're winding down. There's only 2 left, so my chip is about to break my heart in the coming months here. But they did announce an omnibus, right? For his run on Daredevil. So that's
Nice.
going to be something that I'm going to collect, and I highly suggest everyone else collects. But that won't be until I think a year from now. X-Men 23 continues to kick ass. Absolutely great stuff going on in the X-Men universe right now. We have Venom issue 20, Immortal X-Men issue 12, Fantastic Four issue 8, Spider-Man issue 9, Star Wars issue 35, Captain America Sentinel of Liberty issue 13, The Invincible Iron Man issue 7, Yoda issue 8, Red Goblin issue 5, X-Men Before the Fall Mutant First Strike issue 1. Look. Bishop War College issue 5, Deadpool Battered Blood issue 1, Star Wars Return of the Jedi, The Empire issue 1. Fix your fucking titles, guys. We have Groot issue 2, and then a book you wanted to talk about, my friend.
Yeah, so we got for those Loki fans out there, we got the start of a new Loki series. Issue 1 is out this week. This is written by Dan Waters, drawn by Herman Peralta, with colors by Mike Spicer and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. And I first of all, the art was really good. It's definitely got a weird starting point for this story for sure. So I was drawn in the first few pages. And then as we kind of go, it's like, okay, there's an interesting thing. And then it's just kind of like, it was okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't read it, but I mean, if you're itching for some Loki stuff, yeah, give it a look. But for me, I was like, yeah, this is okay. But the ending felt kind of odd. Like maybe I'll take a look at the second one, but it's only because we get the review copies. So for me, it was kind of a meh. I thought the art was good though. It's just that the story was kind of like, okay. Like it felt like the tempo, the pacing of it was a little odd. Like it started off on this weird note, then it kind of gets going, and then it kind of like hits this weird spot, and then the end's just like, wait, what? Like it didn't have the flow that I would have liked.
Gotcha. Yeah. I thought about reading this too. I'm glad you did. Save me the trouble.
Yeah, there you go. So again, if you're itching for Loki stuff, it might be worth picking up. But personally, for me, like it's not one that I'll be going to get just for the cover and everything like that. Unless I see a really crazy variant. But second issue, and it's only because we get the review copies. So, anyways, enough about that. Let's go over to DC. We got a lot from DC this week. So, Batman 136, of course, written by Chip Zdarsky. The Flash 800. It's a sin that neither of us is a Flash fan, so we could talk about this more. Shazam issue 2. Adventures of Superman John Kent issue 4, which you are reading. The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing issue 9. Steelworks issue 1. The Joker Uncovered issue 1. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You issue 112. Poison Ivy 13, a series that I talked about on here a while back. Loving it. G. Willow Wilson writing that one. And then we've got two, Joe, one that we both want to talk about and one that I want to talk about. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Dark Knights of Steel 11?
Man, I mean, there's not a lot to say that we haven't already said about this series, right?
Sure.
And what Tom Taylor had a hell of a week this week, both with this and Adventures of Superman John Kent. But I remember, the big reveal at the end, where we were heading in issue 9, issue 10, right? And the big reveal, there with Alfred and, with, John Johns essentially, right? And the Martian Manhunters. And this issue is just, there's a lot of machinations going on. That's what I love.
Yeah.
About this, right? Because there's this particular issue, there's a lot of chess pieces being moved and being played. One that you kind of see coming, but you don't know the extent until you get to the end. And
right.
This is a character I just flat out don't like.
Yes.
Period.
I don't think
in any format.
I don't think you're in the minority. Okay, here's the question though. Do you appreciate the character's presence because they are always like a bastard, or do you just wish the character would go away?
Wish the character would go away. I don't care for, I don't need this character outside of their role in
Their main story.
their main story, right? I
Hmm.
don't, and I don't, and it makes sense in this story, but it just in general, I'm just not a huge
Sure.
fan of this particular character being vague on purpose because I don't want to spoil the issue,
Sure.
you
Of
know,
course. Of
for
course.
anyone. But you get a lot of really good stuff here, and what has been building over the last several issues has a really good payoff here, and really propels where the story is going next, and how, you know, and how everything is gonna, you know, sort of you know, come together. So this arc looks like to be another really exciting, you know, chapter to this story that Tom Taylor has been telling.
The character that you were talking about before, I feel similar but different. Like, I think that that character is always a bastard, and I appreciate that character's presence because of that. Because nothing is ever really as it seems with that character. And in a way, in this, we find out in this story where it's like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? You, like you said, you knew something was up, but I
Yeah,
didn't think it was to that degree. But this is
yeah,
what Tom Taylor does. He knows how to drop the hammer on you in ways like few do, and he like knows how to make you think one thing's going on, and then it's like, okay, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, and like it's still good, but then it's like, no, it's not that, and then it's just a slight twist, and then it's like, wait, but then that slight twist turns into like, wait, what?
yeah,
So he's that's what he does, and that's why
yeah.
like we knew this was going to be an outstanding series. It was a great concept and everything, and it is delivered every single step of the way.
Yeah, it was a great twist for sure. My disdain for the character aside,
Sure.
fits really well with what's going on. It's like when you have this sort of, you know, political chess playing that's going on. I love that kind of stuff. So it
Yeah.
fits here. But just in general, I know they're making a show and all that stuff. I just no, I don't need it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. As for the other time, speaking of DC shows, Peacemaker Tries Hard issue 2, written by Kyle Starks. I raved about this after the first issue. Stephen Pugh and Jordy Belair on this series as well, and I raved about it after the first issue. I was like, the art is great. It fits perfectly for the character, and then I was like, Kyle's writing is just spot on, and again, like I don't want to dig into this too much because I think this is a 3-issue miniseries, and I want to talk about this at greater length on the show when it wraps up. But it's really freaking good. It's absolutely worth picking up. And it's funny, like again, the stuff that's going on with Peacemaker. What Kyle Starks is doing so well is that this character deserves to have a ton of stupid, different, random shit going on in the course of the story. But I could see how it would be easy to get caught up in that kind of shit, and then take away from the plot and make it just like meh, whatever. But that's where his strength, like that's actually Kyle's strength especially when it comes to writing this character. Just like he knows how to put in enough random bullshit and have it fit to the story and make it all kind of matter and bring it all together. So I've really enjoyed it through the first 2 issues, and I'm excited for the finale. And honestly, though, like wherever we'll see where things go in the last issue, but it's like, I wouldn't mind seeing more from Kyle Starks on Peacemaker for Black Label. Some really good shit.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting. So maybe one I'll take a look at some point.
Yeah, definitely. As for AWA, who we have next, we got a first issue from them, Joe, and you have dibs on this one.
I sure do, baby. So I read this, not the timestamp things, but we had our chat already with Daniel Kraus, and so when we got off with that, I read the book, so I'd be ready for, you know, today, and that is Sins of the Salton Sea, issue 1, written by Ed Brisson with art by C.P. Smith, and man, like we I mean we say this every fucking time we talk about AWA when they drop another one. It's like their batting average right now is Ted Williams esque, right? They're just fucking, they're like DiMaggio. They just fucking slamming hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And I mean, we just talked about Trojan, right? We're talking to Daniel Kraus, you know, about Trojan, which was a huge hit. You know, Year Zero, Volume Zero, which Daniel Kraus also wrote, was fucking tremendous. Absolution, Sacrament, the list goes on. I mean, we have talked about so many AWA books on the show, and for damn good reason. And they get the perfect writers to tell the stories they want to tell, right?
Hmm.
And so, what we have here with Ed Brisson is this sort of heist book, right? It almost like when I started reading it, I started
Huh.
getting vibes of the movie Heat, right? With Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer, right? It's a really great fucking action heist movie, and that's sort of how this book starts. And then the fucking flip that happens at the end, and they think they're knocking over robbing a truck that's going to be full of gold, and it ends up being something else. And then where it goes from there, it's just like, oh shit, right? This is another high octane, just balls to the wall, gritty story that I think AWA like just corners the market on and just fucking nails it.
Nice.
And so, CP Smith's, I've seen their art, in a few other places. It fits perfectly. It's gritty. It goes along with Ed's storytelling. We talked to a couple about it. I've at least discussed a couple of his books, maybe not full length episodes, but like books that I've read when it comes to
Yeah.
what's new, saying, "Oh, this has been great. This is great." Right. So, I'm glad that he's doing something here with AWA because it fits perfectly. It's right in that gritty AWA wheelhouse, and so
Hmm.
this is definitely a book you're gonna want to go out and grab this week. And if the local comic shop doesn't have it, you can have them order it. Make sure it gets put on your pull list so that issue 2, when it comes out, you'll have it. And if in a pinch you need it and you want to read it, just grab it online and then put it on your pull list. You don't miss issues 2, 3, 4. And this is a 5-issue story, thankfully, because I think Trojan was only 4, right? A lot of
Hmm.
these are only 4 issues. So can't recommend this book enough. Can't wait to talk about Nick. This is one I think again you're gonna love. It's right in your wheelhouse. It's gonna be right in a lot of people's wheelhouses.
There was a nice trade-off for this because you did gift me the upcoming Ennis book for AWA, so I can't be too mad. But I will say, like, when you called dibs on this and it was Brisson, I was like, God, like I can't believe he just did that to me. Because I had not too long before you called dibs talked about Brisson's like Deathstroke year 1 or year 0 story that came out recently. And it was that arc following the Deathstroke Inc. I think it was still technically Deathstroke Inc. for the title, but it was like a year 1, year 0 story, and it was really, really good. And that was with Dexter, so I really enjoyed it. So when I saw, oh, he's getting an AWA thing, I was like, oh, great. Like I don't think I'd call dibs on an AWA book just yet at that point because I get at the time try to respect it. But then that was kind of, I think, where the wheels started to fall off. And it was like, okay, you know what? Fuck this. Like, I'm not taking this anymore because I was really excited about this Brisson book. And now I got to wait months longer
Yeah,
than everybody else because of you.
he wrote a book recently that I enjoyed, and I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah,
He did
Brisson's one of
Old
those.
Man Logan, right?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna find it here. Shoot.
yeah, but
But it was really good. He's written a
Briss,
ton of stuff,
yes,
right?
Brisson's one of those guys who I feel like I've read a bit, but I need to read more of him than I have.
Yeah, I wish I'd written down the book that because it was a little while ago, and it was sort of a sci-fi horror book that I loved, monster book. It was fantastic. Shit, and I should have written it down, but he's a great writer. Perfect. He's a perfect AWA writer. He fits what they do so well.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at his list, his work over on League of Comic Geeks because they kind of do a decent job of listing off a lot of work that people have done. But nothing's jumping out at the moment that you might be talking about. But anyways, let's move on. We got Boom, Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, and then Fence Redemption issue 1, which you said it's a boom. That's a Boombox title.
Yeah, so boom, issue 1, gonna give it a look. This is a boombox book, so this is more geared towards young adult readers. I've read a few boombox books before. I'm not adverse. It's not like I see boombox, and I don't give it a chance. But the art style, the story wasn't for me. Right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna say, oh, it was fucking terrible. It just wasn't a story for me, but I could see it, being, for again, if you've got someone you want to get into comics, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like, this is a good book, to possibly give to them. But, for me, just wasn't my cup of tea.
Gotcha. That's fair. Then we move over to Dark Horse. We got the third issue of Hairball, which so I don't like to do this, but it's like I sometimes I gotta tell myself, I gotta be honest, like you tried to do with no one fairly. Obviously we had plans that screwed it up for me, but I haven't read Hairball even though you told me to do it. So do you want full dibs on it now?
Yeah, I'm taking full dibs on now.
Okay, all right.
You had your chance. I gave you
I
your
did.
chance.
I
This
did.
issue was too good. Oh man, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Uh,
Just shit.
I'm pissed
Yeah.
at myself. Fuck.
Yeah.
But what a book that I'm not missing out on with Dark Horse. No chance in hell. Sean Lewis's Survival. The second issue of that is out this week. And so we get in the first really cool cover. And the cover was done by Tom Coker. But we get in the art, in the interior art here too, is by Brendan Everett, colors by Natalie Barona and then of course Everett as well. But we get in here in the first couple pages, and it's just like, man, like it's like we already knew we were dealing with an odd family.
Fucking asshole. He said that?
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what this is. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
that was fucked up.
yeah, it really is. Like, this is we kind of got to keep it vague too. Like, it's not a spoiler, but like we want you guys to obviously experience it like we did. But obviously there's a whole lot going. There's like a huge mess with the vampire stuff that we got left off on as well, and that story kind of moves forward a little bit. But again, like this is a very like Sean has written a lot of like quite a bit of violent stories, but this feels like extra vicious. And I know he does Spawn, and he works with Javier Fernandez, and that gets pretty fucking nasty. But like, this is like, I don't know, is it gnarly? Is that like the best way to describe it? It's just like there's a little bit of a difference to it. And obviously he's working with a different artist.
Yeah, it's gnarly for sure. Thinking about like the other books, right? You think about Thumbs, and Thumbs is a thinker, right? Thumbs
Mm-hmm.
is dealing with themes that are, very existential, that are very, but also, sort of, dealing with, our sort of addiction on technology and things of that nature, right? Coyotes, right? Bliss, they're all, I think, more, deeply emotional, books. This book is, for I think by Sean's standards, is very raw, right?
There you go.
And vicious, and it's great because I think, and I don't know if writing Spawn is unlocking a little bit of this in Sean, because like I love those other works, and I love them for much different reasons than I love Survival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Survival is a book you read, and there's a very gripping story there. There's some real fucked up family dynamic issues in there, right? Which
Yeah.
is something that Sean touches upon in his other books, right? So like
Yeah. It's good.
there are elements there to it, right? But like what we talked about, like this with John Lee's and The Nasty, right? It's a little bit different. And so I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing some art, some writers and creators trying to not pigeonhole themselves, branching out, doing some different things while still sort of sticking to, what they're really good at, and what they know. And Sean's a tremendous writer. And I think you could tell you could tell he's been having a lot of fun with King Spawn and the Scorch, because he's just sort of allowed to just kind of go
Sure.
there. And he's bringing some of that, I think, here with Survival. And so it's raw, but it's also very intriguing because there's still so much we don't know. We got a
Sure.
little bit more in this issue with the family dynamic, but there's still a lot of unknowns all around, and that's what makes a great comic. That's what makes you want to read the next issue. That's that propulsion that Sean has talked about when he's come on the show. Is that you want to keep the reader, because it's not like we can just grab a book and just read chapter after chapter after chapter until it's done. You've
Right.
got to read, and there's got to be that thing that makes you want to go back to it a month later. And he
Mm-hmm.
does that so very well.
He does. Two last things on Survival from Dark Horse. There's a specific something that happens to a character who like there's a few important characters that we get introduced in the first issue, and there's something that happens to one of them in this issue that was very satisfying. I just want to say thank you to Sean for that. And then also like we didn't get to meet with do an interview with Sean before Survival as much as we would have liked to. It's just scheduling doesn't always work out. But you say like there's things that and everything, and writing things writing things you don't know, because some people do like to do that. I would love to know where the inspiration for this fucked up family came from. So whenever we circle back with him again, like I cannot wait to talk to him about Survival. And I would imagine at that point it'll probably be like a spoiler filled episode. Maybe we'll see. But when it comes to Survival at least, but I like why? Like how? Like what was the inspiration for this? Because this is just like there's like fucked up families. This is like it's also weird, like what's going on here. You know what I mean? And I know that kind of goes hand in hand with fucked up, but anyways, why don't you take us through some of these other ones, Joe?
Okay, so from IDW, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 61. We have this. I can't wait to pick this up. I'm very intrigued. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter issue 1. Now, did you see the news, Nicholas? I don't know when it's coming out, but we're getting a TMNT Stranger Things crossover.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Need that.
Yeah.
I put it on our Instagram stories the other day. Need that. But TMNT Street Fighter, the crossover you never knew you needed, comes out this week. Star Trek Defiant issue 4, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Dog of War issue 3, My Little Pony issue 13, and Breath of Sounds issue 5. That I cannot wait for. That has been a tremendous series so far. From Skybound, we have Walking Dead Deluxe issue 64. And did you get a chance to read I Hate This Place?
No, I'm actually behind. So
catch up, baby. This was good. This was a really good issue. Again, I'm still struggling to find like why this is up for best comedy. I'll take it because I'm glad it's got a nomination that it should win. But it's good. Real good.
Yeah, I've heard. I feel like I've heard Kyle Starks talk about it, and obviously we haven't had him on the show before, but I feel like I've heard Kyle, and I feel like I've heard Chip Zdarsky. I don't think he talked about it with us, but I feel like I've heard them both talk about it in some capacity, like comedy in comics, and how it's just like it can't be a straight up comedy in comics, like just doesn't play well. So maybe that's why, like because there is obviously humorous elements to it.
Right.
Well, yeah.
But again, I still wouldn't. Humor is not the first category I would pigeonhole this one. But anyways, from Vault we have Money Shot Comes Again issue 2, and Godfell issue 4. From Dynamite we have Disney Villains Maleficent issue 2 and Purgatory Must Die issue 5. From Oni Press, Nicholas. Now, did you call dibs on Lamentation?
No dibs, but I did read the first issue.
Okay. So Lamentation issue 2 comes out.
Really good first issue. That was so cool.
Yeah, it's sitting in my stack. I got to get to it.
Oh, if you don't get to it and read the second one on time.
Yeah. Tony Romo. And then lastly, Nicholas, why don't you bring this puppy home? Tell us what we got from Image.
Spawn 342, Nocterra issue 15. Yeah. Phantom Road issue 4, which Joe is reading, as well as The Ambassadors issue 6, Love Everlasting issue 8, Hell to Pay issue 5, The Magic Order volume 4 issue 5. I feel like it's been like extra long since I last got a Magic Order issue. Blood Tree issue 5, In Hell We Fight issue 1. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, real quick. So again, Image issue 1, written by jeepers. Why am I
go ahead and talk about it. I'll get it in 1 second.
What the heck's his name? John Layman. Who I enjoy as a writer. Worked on Shoe. So generally enjoy his writing. The art, unfortunately, took me out of this book. I just couldn't. There seemed to be a good premise there. Like I said, like there's a humor to John Layman's writing that I enjoy very much, but I just couldn't get into this book. The art just unfortunately took me out. Right, this is one of those moments where art is subjective, and you can
Sure.
either get past it or you can't. I just couldn't get it. So this book, is not for me. But if you're a fan of John Layman and his writing, you may want to give it a shot, and hopefully you can be a better person than I am and get past the writing. I mean the art.
And I don't look at the cover, and I believe it's by the same artist who it's Jock, not that Jock though, different Jock. But like I look at that and it's like, no, I think maybe I could. Like maybe I remember when I
Yeah.
first saw, I was like, yeah, I don't know. But I didn't realize it was the writer of Chew. So I might still give this a look, because like you said, it seemed like it had a promising premise, and I don't have that same reaction to the art, but we'll see. Like I can definitely I understand where you're coming from. Like
Yeah.
I definitely do. Then we got Almighty issue 5, Stoneheart issue 4, Junk Rabbit issue 3, Joe, and then you have one last book that you wanted to touch upon.
Yeah, so I talked about the issue 1 when it came out, and that's Star Signs. So Star Signs issue 2 drops this week, and I was very intrigued by the first issue. Had a really great premise but not a lot happened. We sort of, we get introduced to some of the characters, and one of the characters has this really cool power where they can stop time.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, I'll give the second issue a shot. I liked it enough. And man, this second issue was great because we get introduced to the bigger world that's going on here. This is a world in which sort of the stars and constellations have disappeared, and it's really sort of screwing things up. And what's coming out of it is that certain people are being have been blessed with superpowers. And so your antagonists are a scientist and sort of his understudy, and they're trying to sort of collect these people that have been touched with these powers, and they've been given nicknames like Taurus and Leo and Gemini, right, named after the constellations. And so they each all have different superpowers. So as we get introduced to them, we get a little bit of their backstory, and we get a couple action scenes in this issue. So this issue really kicked it up a notch. I enjoyed it very much. I'm looking forward to the rest of the series here. So this was a very, very good, very, very good book. Very, a little bit different from what I typically read.
Yeah, it gives
And
that kind of vibe looking at the cover.
yeah, and this is another one where the art is sometimes like, it maybe not my favorite, but it's just not an instance where it completely detracts me,
Sure.
from the story. So definitely enjoyed this. We'll see how the next issue goes. If
Mhm.
this will be, then I think the next issue will determine for me if this is a TLDR book or not. Sort
Mhm.
of right on that cusp. But I enjoyed this issue enough where it's like, okay, all right, we're cooking with
Okay.
something here, right? We got a lot in this issue, and it wasn't like overload or anything like that. I thought it was actually really well done.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with Saladin Ahmed all that
Yeah.
much. And then we got Kelly Fitzpatrick and Megan Levins as the art team on this series.
Yeah,
So
so this is a team that I'm unfamiliar with, but so
mm,
far they're doing a great job.
nice. Love to see that. This is why we do what we do to stumble upon these books that normally we don't check out, but because we get these review copies, let the people know, like, hey, Star Signs may want to check out these first
I
two issues.
wanna check it out, you don't know, Gemini. I wanna check it
It's got a really good Tony Romo going.
out. Yeah, thank you.
So I gotta work on my Jim Nance then, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
What does he say? Like, my friend? Is that his whole
Hello,
thing?
friends.
Hello, friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
my voice isn't deep enough for that. I don't
And
know if I could.
apparently you have to carry around a card that's like shows waitresses and waiters that how you like your toast, which is absolutely
Oh,
burnt
that's
to a fucking crisp.
right. I
Yeah,
forgot that he does that. That is so
fucking weird.
bizarre. Of all the things to be finicky about with food, it's toast.
Toast.
I don't
I
get
want
it.
my toast raw. I just
Yeah.
want bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, ginger, I believe we call that bread. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of somebody, or this is a serious question. Have you ever heard of somebody ordering their steak blue before?
Yes, that's disgusting.
It's so weird, right? I never heard about that
Yeah.
until I went to college. I had a
Blue.
couple.
Oh, so you don't want me to cook it. You just want me
Yeah,
to, throw raw meat onto your plate.
so
Fucking
bizarre.
disgusting.
I mean, hey, I like mixing in medium rare once in a while. I don't know if I've ever had rare before, but blue just sounds like you're asking for food poisoning. That's
Yeah. Medium rare is generally where I go, but it depends on where I'm at
Mhm.
and
Very careful about that. Yeah.
and the cut. And so
Well,
like really nice steakhouse, getting a fillet, I might go rare.
mm,
But generally I'm a medium rare guy, you know.
I feel like I'm more medium rare than like if I don't feel comfortable, then I go medium.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, but yeah, but I hear you. Like it's not something to. I was raised having like a medium well too, and then I like branched out into the world. I was like, oh my
Yo,
god,
you grew up. You grew
yeah,
up. Yeah.
exactly.
You
Uh,
enjoyed not chewing on boot leather.
for real. I remember one. I think was it, I think the, I had well done. God, it must have been still in college. Like I had it, and I was like, have I don't know if I've ever had this before. And this is terrible. Like who would make meat like this? It is like I don't mind chewing on stuff. Don't get me wrong, but this is ridiculous. It's like
Do you eat your
beef
corn
jerky.
on the cob the long way too?
Hey, and we have to talk about corn on the cob in some way, shape, or form as part of Corn Cob TV. So, Joe, thank you for getting that in before we get going. But again, reminder, we do have a Fireside Chat coming out later in the week. Make sure you subscribe to the show so that way you get all the shows in audio form delivered to your listening device, nice and easy for you. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you listen on Apple. And if it's higher somewhere else to leave a rating, please do so there. We really appreciate it. Joe, until next week, stay sexy.
You know it, baby.